and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Xavier Rodriguez with Triance, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Todd James, Senior Vice President of Intelligent Automation at Fidelity Investments. Todd built the Global Data and Analytics organization for Fidelity's workplace investing and healthcare business units, and is currently leading efforts to modernize servicing and operations through applied artificial intelligence and automation. It's very nice to speak with you, Todd, today.
Likewise, Savio. Appreciate the opportunity to have a discussion with you.
Thank you so much. First, I'd like our listeners to hear a little bit about your career journey. Everyone's path is a little different. For instance, yours started out in the Coast Guard. Can you talk about the career experience that led to your current leadership role at Fidelity?
I'd be happy to. Maybe a little bit non-traditional for what you're used to at CDO Magazine. But, I happy to give you a little bit of an overview. In terms of the Coast Guard, that's where I started. Absolutely fantastic organization. I would have to say that as I look at starting off a career, I couldn't have found myself in a better place. I found myself coming out of high school. And when I was looking at college, I think the opportunities were get a scholarship or join the military. And through the Coast Guard Academy, I was able to get an undergrad, and they also paid for one of the grad degrees. So certainly opened up some opportunities for me. Just on that theme a bit, I think beyond the adventure and the excitement that a job like that provides, there were a lot of opportunities to really get to know yourself as an individual, get to know yourself as a leader. The sea itself posed a pretty significant challenge, and then you layer on the operations on top of that. And you found yourself having to adjust, and you found yourself having to work through some pretty difficult problems where the options weren't always ideal. And I think those have carried on throughout my career. Just to give you a little bit of an overview, shifting to the business, I probably got out of the Coast Guard for for some of the same reasons that I actually got into it. I was ready for a new challenge. I had gotten my MBA as I was still in the Coast Guard, this time on my own, and, wanted an opportunity to run business. So, got out, started working for a mid-sized firm in the DC area, running their corporate IT. Did that for probably about 6 to 9 months, and then some opportunities availed to start running a business. It just happened to be a business that was failing, had been through 2 leaders in a year, and I was given the opportunity to turn it around. Was able to do it, which was good. Increased revenue 300%, returned it to profitability. But that probably wasn't the important part of the story. The important part of the story was you learn a lot about running a business when you're waking up at 2 a.m. to figure out if you can keep people employed through the end of the week. And so I had hair when I started that business, did not have hair when I ended that job. But certainly learned a lot. From there, pivoted, worked at Deloitte. Beauty of a company like Deloitte, in addition to being a great firm, is you get access to some of the largest challenges that companies and organizations are trying to face. Big, meaty, transformational needs. And, I found myself positioned in front of some pretty significant mergers and acquisitions. I helped build out the data center practice and capability for that area. And I found myself at a lot of times in that integration between business and IT, which is going to be a theme through the rest of my career. After years of being on the road, I had an opportunity and moved over to Fidelity. And what's kind of interesting about this, and it plays a little bit into the themes, is when I came to Fidelity, I took a series of leadership roles that had absolutely nothing to do with IT. It gave me an opportunity to learn financial services working across our business units, but it also gave me an opportunity to work across different domains and functions. And, from running large transformation initiatives to working to dramatically improve some functions we had, to working on strategy and leading consulting groups, gave me a pretty good breadth of experience. And then I had an opportunity with the analytics, probably, I'm going back about 5 years, was asked to take a look at the analytic capability across our healthcare and workplace investing businesses. came up with a strategy, and over the course of 3 years, built out our global analytics and data services capability across the workplace solutions businesses. And I was, early this year, settling in, really excited about the plan I had for the team in 2020, and got a call and was asked to take a look at, how do we leverage AI to take a look at some of our internal operating models? How do we, at its core, make the jobs of our associates easier through the use of algorithms and data? And so I am in the process of building out that capability for the firm. We call it intelligent automation. Feel we're off to a pretty good start, but that's a career in a nutshell. Like I said, kind of straddling the business and the technology throughout, taking different roles and really trying to anchor myself in areas where there's a large problem to solve, or there's an opportunity to deal with a degree of ambiguity and bring a team and bring people along through the change. So that's been my career, and expect to continue that way.
Absolutely, Todd. You have some very impressive accomplishments, including the restructuring of 10 plus separate groups into a single analytics function, and a new global agile operating model, which launched in under 45 days. With all the buzz about transformation these days, can you talk about what makes today's concept of digital transformation different from major changes that organizations have undertaken in the past?
I'm happy to answer that. And with digital, there is a difference. But as someone who's spent a good part of their career leading transformation at multi-billion-dollar organizations, I'll probably start by saying those old approaches, they still work, right? Spend reduction, organizational rationalization, process improvement, automation. We want to keep those in mind as we think about large-scale business transformation. I think they're still valid. I think where people simply anchor on the digital and forget about those things that have continued to work, you don't always get the results that you're expecting. So I'd say that. But at the same time, digital does offer some new capabilities. And I was actually thinking about this question the other day, going back through the career as I was getting ready for the interview, and thinking about what would I have done differently then if I had the access to the capabilities I have now. And a few things popped. I think one, we spent a lot of time in transformation in the past creating data, finding it, right? Trying to get operational data, going out with stopwatches, measuring things. The data wasn't always available, but I think now across organizations, we have a lot more data, including that operational data that in a lot of cases was treated at exhaust. So a little bit easier to get the data, and sometimes it's even real time, and it's less about gathering the data and more about, what do I do with it? How does that drive how I think about making a change? Two, I think the other big change is, we have, across industries, really started to move more and more to what I would say are streamlined digital service models, which open up new opportunities around how you serve your customers and how you position your workforce to be able to support it. So that's another new angle. And I think the third thing, and this is, I'll talk a little bit about it, where I think probably the biggest opportunity has been, AI is a significant game changer. The ability to use machine prediction to augment human judgment and activity is a capability we didn't have in the past. There are a lot of examples around transformation where significant investments have been made in automation. Lots of time has been spent around process improvement, but we still have employees sitting there making judgment decisions, doing manual activities. Then in a lot of cases, we're relying them to overcome the limitations of those two tools I just mentioned. But they're keeping those people from really doing, what their creative talents and what their intellect is able to fully achieve. So I look at some of the promises around machine comprehension to help people find things quicker through more intelligent search. I look at the ability of collaborative filtering and prediction to be able to help make discussions when they're in the middle of a processing a transaction. Should I do step A, B, C, or D? Is really being an enabler that will play a big role in transformation going forward.
Absolutely. And I like, as you say, the data is the new gold, and with just your title, especially, from an intelligent automation, that speaks volumes. So I know at Fidelity, you set a strategy to drive a more information-driven business through a robust shared services platform that includes business intelligence, artificial intelligence, intelligent automation, data science, and more. Can you talk about how much of an impact a company's legacy technology footprint should have on data transformation?
It's interesting. I mean, there's several ways to look at it, right? You hear a lot about technical debt and how our legacy platforms are weighing organizations down as they try to pivot to the future. I take a little bit different tact. I mean, our legacy footprint, it's where we start. It's where we are at this point in time. I think it's more important to take a view of where do we want to go, take a look at where we're at, and all the work is in between. As we talk about that footprint, our current technology is simply a product of the decisions that were made over decades to address the prevailing business problems of the time based on the best capabilities and insights that existed. So it's a starting point. So I try not to get too hung up about it. What I would say is, as you start to look at new capabilities and you're looking at that over a particular time horizon, it does open your mind to what you can potentially do to get more out of your existing platform. So I'll give you an example. We were taking a look. We had a desire a few years ago, early on, when we were moving into some new data and analytic capabilities that we were deploying across the firm. And in the new platform, we were really excited about the ability to pull together some operational data that was going to help us around, dramatically improving some of the experiences that we were focused on for our customers and for our associates. Once we got a sense for how we wanted to do that in the new environment, some of the data experts and data engineers came forward and said, look, we think we can do an interim solution on our data warehouses that can start giving you value in the near term. And oh, by the way, it'll help make it easier when it's time for us to transition this data into the new environment. So solutions like that, creative solutions, taking an eye to a future and pulling it back into the present, can be helpful as well. And, I've been pleasantly surprised that some ideas have come out about how we can get more out of our legacy footprint during transition periods in a way that's still economically and viable from a business perspective.
No, absolutely. I think the key word's economically viable, absolutely, especially given the legacy, transformations. As the executive in charge of data and analytics, what has been the biggest challenge you have encountered while executing your data transformation vision? Is it people, process, technology challenges?
They're all hard, but the way I look at it is, we're having an opportunity to create a new order of things, to be able to bring capabilities to our customers and to our employees that make it easier for them to do their job, make it easier for them to fulfill their objectives. And so I think that's exciting. So when creating a new order with brand new capabilities that you didn't have in the past, you kind of take these challenges and you look at them a little bit differently. So I'll give you an example. I mean, the Apollo project, getting a man on the moon, had all these challenges. But isn't that a project we'd all want to be part of? Wouldn't it be exciting? Wouldn't you be driven by working through those challenges? And I think as we start to move to these digital business service models and we're using these new capabilities where we're getting new ideas on how to employ artificial intelligence every week, every day, I just think it's an exciting space where a lot of us that are in this look at these challenges. We expect them, we know it, but there's so much energy and excitement about bringing on these new capabilities that you have good days and bad days, but back to that Apollo model, we're working on work that we all want to be part of and that we want to be able to work through. So clearly they're all challenges at different times. Any one of them will come up over the other, but I'm feeling more momentum than drag as we work through those situations. So now, granted, we're not putting a person on the moon, but I still think the work that we're doing is really exciting. It's going to have great benefits and continues to have great benefits for our customers. And I'm very excited right now, in particular, about how we're making it easier for our associates to do their work as well and freeing them up to more fully utilize and do the kind of things that get them excited about their jobs.
Absolutely. I'd love to be a part of that project, and I think it's really the motivation behind what gets done. And as you rightly said, it's the time that opportunity exists all around us. So let's wrap.
Yeah. I mean, Savio, you're right. This is, I think we're at one of those once in a career, maybe twice in a career pivot points. And for those of us that are close to the work, it's a great place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's wrap this portion of our interview with the topic on everyone's mind this year. How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted progress on your key initiatives? What priorities have changed since the pandemic hit, if any?
Yeah, I'll start by saying, as you know, and we all know, I mean, this has been a very difficult situation for a lot of people. And there are people out there that have been touched by tragedy. So, as we looked at how we were going to spend 2020, I don't think this is how any of us expected that it would necessarily go. I look, and I'll start by saying, I think fortunately, I'm at an organization where the priority was put on how do we help our customers and how do we help our employees through the situation. That's been the top priority with us at Fidelity, taking a look at the situation and making sure we're doing the right thing for people. What I would say in terms of how that impacted what I'm doing, I think to some extent it expedited our ability to stand up. So if you look at the beginning of our third quarter, it's a new initiative, right? So there were three of us. And we're putting together ideas of what we want to be able to achieve, how we're going to be able to form it. And, by the end of that quarter, we had started our process of building out capabilities. And across all of our teams, we were deploying solutions that were working and had a material impact on making it easier for our associates to do their work. So I think to some extent, the imperative may have expedited our deployment of solutions because those solutions help the associates that are actually helping the customers. So the other big change that I've seen is there's the fact that everyone is on Zoom now. And the teams that I'm working with and the business partners and the customers everybody's distributed. And you do see a little bit of a difference when you had groups of conference rooms coming together across the globe at different times. There's more of a democracy to everyone's coming together on Zoom. So I'm seeing some differences in engagement that are exciting. People are getting more opportunities to be able to have their voice heard across these remote sites than maybe was the case in the past. And I think that's been eye-opening. Probably the final thing too is it's been tough on the team itself. Everyone in intelligent automation within my space is a human being dealing with the challenges of COVID, and it has been impressive and amazing to see both the empathy and the strength and resilience of people as they've coped with this challenge. So,
no, well said, Todd. Totally. I mean, totally. And I always say the silver lining in all of this is the beautiful quality time that we get with our families.
It's a great point.
With the busy travels and everything, but absolutely well said. I've been speaking with Todd James, Senior Vice President of Intelligent Automation at Fidelity Investments. Look for part 2 of this series right here on CDO Magazine, where we'll talk more about bringing AI and other data innovations to the organization. Thank you so much, Todd, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.